Okay, I just turned the import button on. So shall we start?
Yeah, let's get rolling, and somebody
Yeah.
wants to jump in, they can. And
Yeah. What is the tank farm? Excuse my level of ignorance.
it's the fuel tanks for the generators.
Are there like a whole bunch of tanks?
There's two of them,
Oh.
and they're in a somewhat of a containment pit.
Okay. So are those levels, are they, does that mean we have to go buy fuel soon or not?
Yeah, that's about when I bought it last time.
Mm.
I'd rather be cautious than push it too far, you know.
Mm-hmm. So how long did that last?
When did we buy fuel, Ray? When did we get fuel last? It was like the 20 something of January.
So about a month, huh?
Yeah, that was what, 6,800 gallons.
Mm-hmm. And then we transferred what, 500 gallons to the landfill.
Correct.
Okay. So Ray, do you need anything from us to keep things going at this point, or?
No, I talked to Ricky yesterday extensively about anything that might be on the horizon that we need to worry about. And he stated that and I don't know if I put those in the notes, but we're running low on the fuel filters and oil filters, which we can purchase at North Lake Powell and just invoice you or give you those invoices for reimbursement. But he said he's probably got enough to get to the first part of March. But then for the servicing afterwards, we're going to have some. So I'm not quite sure how much those run, Mike. You probably got a better knowledge on that. But if you want us to stock up, we can, or we can just buy enough to get through another month or so.
I think it makes the most sense to, just have you guys handle it down there instead of ordering them, trying to get them delivered to the right place. If that's okay with you, Ray, for now, at least, and then there might be a better solution later on, but.
Yeah, Tim Kelly's on the call as well. Tim and I work extensively with a lot of the stuff, the management of what's going on there. But Tim, do you know? Do you have a feel for that? Because I know you deal with it down at offshore.
I don't. I would just have to find out what he's got for filters up there and then source them. I would assume he probably was going through, Wheeler Cat or somebody like that. But we can, if it streamlines things, we can source them ourselves. Just in the meantime, since we don't have a full-time, crew there or a full-time manager with TUID, it might be easier for us to do it. And then once we get somebody managing it full-time, use the TUID resources.
Okay, so that was the one thing, was the fuel filters and oil filters. And then the next thing, I think I also wrote down that he felt that needed to be done sooner rather than later, was clearing out that cell too.
That the sewer thing?
Correct. Yeah. Clean that up and or clean the dry one up of the tamarisk and the cattails, and then switch from 1 to 2.
So just for my information, does the sewage just flow in the cell and then we let nature take its course? Or is there any level of treatment going on?
No, there's no treatment. It's just free flow into the cell, and then evaporation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would say if that needs to be done, I think maybe if you can organize it, just do it. I mean, it doesn't get any cheaper by waiting. If that works organizationally for you.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it, Alex. I think that I mean, you could probably wait 30, 60 days if you want to wait till, you know, a team comes in, but Ricky already knows how to do it, and more than likely we'd have to, or Ricky would have to train anybody else to do it, so we might as well do it. Get it over with.
Yeah. Does that sound okay with you, Mike, Amy?
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
get things done. I mean, if we can get, the more we can get done, the more that we now already know needs to be done, the better off we are.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just keeping things moving forward so we're not stacking stuff, a to-do list to do for later.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you need from us at this point, Ray?
Well, um, just on two things. Mike, you might know this more, but first off is Ricky doesn't think that that reset is working on that well one to switch to well two.
Okay.
He said that did I write that in the notes? He had said
you
I did. Okay, yeah, okay. It's not, yeah. So Ricky says it's being done remotely, and that it's that Chip had some problems with it. He had all wells in, and a fellow by the name of Paul from some electrical company in Price. I'm not sure who that would be, but we can find that person. And apparently Ricky said that Chip had that guy on like a retainer. So when do you know what I'm talking about, Mike?
Yeah, somewhat. I've kind of heard the same story a little bit, but not all the details.
Okay. So apparently, Ricky felt that, you know, we need to give that guy a call because he would know where that was left off. That on that issue, and then the other issue, something that Tim brought up, and this, so at offshore, we have a well that has a pump, and we for years that we were just taking the water samples from that. And this past year, they contacted us to say that's not really the way to do that, and we had to design a plan that included 5 different taps that we took that water sample from and alternated it on a monthly basis. So I don't know if you all are familiar with offshore, but like where the mechanics are, that there's a tap outside. So 1 month we do that tap and we source it, like we call it like tap number 1 or whatever. And then we have the South Side shop, and 1 month we'll do that one. It's called tap number 2. So there's a map that they have, we drew for them, that shows where each one of those sample sites are located. And then when we do the water sample, we have to identify where that source came from. And obviously the reason is because, you know, the water at the well or at the source might not be contaminated, but once it gets through your system and say gets all the way out there at the south end of Tickaboo or something, that's possibly where the contamination would come from. So they want different sites for the water samples. And I don't think that that's a requirement for TUID. There might be a reason, but we're probably going to have to start designing a plan, because I can't imagine why they wouldn't want a public utility company to do that the same way when they have, you know, our little operation down at offshore being compliant upon that. So that would be something. I don't think nobody's hollering about it right now, but that's definitely something that we would want to do. Just be proactive in the first 30 or 60 days of you appointing a management team or a staff member to go through and make that plan.
So these are monthly samples you have to submit to Division of Water Quality to test water quality.
Yeah, the monthlies are for E. coli and chloroform. And then then you have the annual nitrate. And then every 3 years, I think it is, you have the sulfates and
Okay.
yeah, all that other stuff.
Okay. So Kickapoo only has 2 wells, right?
Correct.
Because if you go to the Division of Water Rights, that other water right mentions 7 well locations. The water right that we no longer have. Any idea?
No, I think there are some more wells around there. I don't know exactly where they're all located. I know there's more than what we have.
So that it runs on 2 wells, and they're supposed to somehow communicate to know when to get water from one well or the other, or
Yeah, that's the way.
what exactly isn't that it isn't doing?
That's the way it's set up, is to pump from, well one for a while, but it can automatically transfer to well two. But there's something about that system. I'll have to look through my notes. That requires that it happen in a certain way, as to not create issues with the water system as a whole. I'll have to look through my notes, but it is important if you're using from well two that it does it at the right time.
Okay.
If that makes sense, kind of.
No, it doesn't, but I'll let that go for now.
What do you mean by the right time?
I'm trying to remember. I'll have to look through my.
Tim, did Chip go over any of that with you when you were training with him?
He did, just very superficially, and I remember him specifically saying that he had a problem with that well too, which is kitty corner from where I'm at. There's 2 separate issues. One is the communication piece of it, because I believe the main kind of transponder or receiver is at well house 1, which is up by the generator, and then well 2. The other issue was, I think they had to replace the water column transducer, which measures how much water is actually in that well column.
That's exactly.
Yeah, and it had gotten damaged, and when it got replaced, or they had to pull it to service the pump or something, either way, something happened to the transducer cable. And he thinks that since then, that's what was happening, is it was going offline. And because it was offline, it was basically telling the system that it's unavailable, or that there's no water in that well column and it shouldn't turn the pump on. So I don't know what's involved in that. It'd be somebody who deals with well pumps, but I think that's what happened, is a cable got damaged. So therefore you have to manually turn on that well right now, just because that transducer signal is unreliable.
I obviously know nothing about that.
I think it's probably something that we need to have fixed soon, but I don't think it's I don't think we're right at a critical stage with it. I would suggest we see if we can find out who that contact is. And I can look around on his computer and see if I can find anything for the well technician.
The well technician is that all wells.
All wells out of Tanksville.
Yeah, the electrician was the guy out of Price, and I'm sure we know who that guy is. I just can't think of a guy named Paul, but I'm sure we know the electrical company because we use them. We all use the same people,
Maybe you and Ricky could get on the horn to him, because you guys and Rick would probably know way more than I do, even as far as what's happening there. So maybe we could get in communication with him and see what he recommends.
Okay. And I can let you know that before March 8th.
Okay.
And then the only other thing is something that Dana brought to my attention. and I don't know if this is anything to worry about, Mike, you probably know, but you know, our generators down at offshore are on 12-hour schedules, but the ones uh, up at TUID are on 10-hour turnarounds. Are you familiar with that at all?
Not really.
So, you know, Dana was saying, you know, when you go in to do it, they go in the first thing in the morning to do a generator check and then go in the afternoon. And the other one is already, because, you know, you're trying to do like a 12-hour transfer and it changes. So it's like if you do 12 hours, it would go like, say, as an example, 8 in the morning, 8 at night, right? 8 in the morning, 8 at night. But on the 10-hour schedule, it's like 8 in the morning and then 6 at night and then 4. So
Mhm.
you're not catching the one generator when it's first coming on or going off. Or he was saying something about you can't identify any codes if it's already gone through a cycle, a 10-hour cycle. And then he said the other thing is that they are set up on, and Tim, you might know this, so correct me because I don't quite understand it, but they're set up on a Wednesday. One of them, I think, or both of them shut down or something like that for a um I forgot what he called it, but they shut down for like a redo. And if it's on that 10-hour schedule, then it won't shut down because it's working. So he was saying that they, like the ones we have at offshore, we have them on a 12-hour schedule to prevent a lot of that kind of. But he said he thought perhaps it must be on a 10-hour schedule for a reason, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense to have them on those 10-hour switchovers. And Tim, did I say that right?
I don't really have any feedback on that other than Dana saying the 10-hour schedule, which is kind of odd. But as far as that other Wednesday shutdown or reset, I hadn't heard anything about that, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, it'd probably be something we'd want to talk to Cat about, I guess. See why they chose to do it that way.
So are you suggesting to change that to a 12-hour schedule?
Well, we need to know why it's on a 10-hour schedule first. There might be a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no wisdom on that.
If it,
Would
if
Ricky
I can,
know? Ricky would know. Why? Wouldn't he?
I asked him, he said that's just the way it's always been.
Maybe that's just some default setting that nobody has ever changed.
I can have Dana contact Kat to inquire if that's okay.
That'd probably be a good idea, and then to see what they say, and we can go from there. Makes more sense to change it, we can.
Okay.
My thought.
Okay, so Mike, you mentioned something about an MQ generator. That's going to cost $40,000.
Yeah, so the MQ is the generator that TUID uses in the winter when the loads are low. It's a 110 kW or 120 kW generator versus the 190s that we're on now. Uses less fuel, and generators perform better when they're loaded and not underloaded. So that's generator went bad last November, washed a cylinder, and North Lake Powell actually helped us out, took it to Salt Lake Maxwell Equipment. They're suggesting a full rebuild and a rewinding of the generator. And the price they quoted me a month and a half ago was north of $4,000. So, but I think, and Ray mentioned this before too, I think we can probably find a better, cheaper solution for that and get the same service. It seems pretty high. So it might not be a bad idea if we start looking for quotes for that. Or the other option is we put it on hold for a while because we're going to be on the plant. We would normally go back to the plant in March, April anyway. So the MQ wouldn't be in service through the summer at all. But we'd want it available or a replacement available by next fall, when the loads start going down.
So is this a really old generator?
No, it's not too old. I can't remember when they bought that. I'd have to look or see if I can find documentation, but it's not an old generator. Has a problem with an injector, and it's kind of a common failure in diesel engines.
Is that, I don't know, I have no idea how to decide whether that's worth it or not. I mean, I just don't have the information.
Well,
But if we can push that off, that'd be a good thing.
we definitely need it or a replacement like it. Due to the low loads through the winter, we can't run that plant on that kind of loading. It carbons up the exhaust system. We're gonna have to load bank all these generators that are currently running now just because they haven't been loaded all winter, and that carbon builds up inside the exhaust system and can cause trouble down the road. So we have to do something with it this year. I don't know what that is, or if we get bids and see if we can find somebody competitive to basically put a new engine in it and rewind that generator. Re-insulate.
Didn't you say they don't want to store it for us also, that we probably would need to go get it soon if we're not going to have them fix it for us?
How big is that thing? I mean,
10,000 pounds, Ray. It's on a trailer.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I don't know. Tim helped with it. He might know.
Yeah, I think it's a little over 10,000 pounds on a bumper trailer.
So I had so Dana reached out to what is it, Maxwell? Maxwell, to find out what was required, because he was going to dig into it to see what it would take to get it back operational. And he felt that the way he said it was that guy was basically making $25,000 to $28,000 to do the repair, because the part was only going to be somewhere in the $10,000 to $12,000 range or something like that.
Yeah,
So he felt there were some alternatives, and he asked permission to dig into it. And I told him that I'd rather him wait. But if y'all want him to go ahead and start digging, he can. That's what he does. I mean, he's helped us out a lot with finding new units down at offshore, and he can get on the horn and call around and find some alternatives that we can report back to you, so you can make a sound decision on it.
so is Dana one of your guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, again, if you can spare him from his regular work, and I think we might as well start poking around on that issue.
No, he's good with that kind of stuff. That would be easy.
Okay. Well, we made it through number one. Speed that up a little bit. Hired a manager. I got, what was his name? On the Indeed thing, I got one, the John Motley. He's the guy that you guys know, right?
I think that might be John on the call.
Yeah.
I don't recognize that number, but it could be.
Yeah, well, Indeed for some reason automatically rejected him. So and I'll send him an email saying that just to ignore that. But he's also talking to you guys, right?
Yeah, so I think what happened there was I think Indeed, if you don't acknowledge the resume, I think they automatically reject it after 15 days, and it was exactly 15 days. So I think you have to, when you get a resume, there might be something you have to click to say that you received it or something. I don't really know how that part works. Do you, Amy?
I don't. I'm sorry. I mean, I could research it.
Yeah, and then that's why I just would like him to know that it was not a rejection from any of us. It was just sent automatically, and we didn't mean it.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So we only got him so far? We're not-
We got another one that now for some reason I can't find anymore.
just wondering what the interest is going to end
Yeah,
up.
one other guy named Anthony Kelly.
Tim, do you know him?
I do. Yes.
Oh, okay.
You know, and should we know anything about him? See, family?
Yeah, that's my older brother.
Uh,
He's been a mechanic for longer than I have. So, I mean, boots on the ground kind of guy.
mm. Uh, Okay. Well, I can't see if anything came up on the U3P because they don't tell you until the date is over, but I'm suggesting that we can just grab all the responses one of the first day of March and
When does that close for
talk
you?
about it. U3P closes on February 28th. Okay, water rights. Is there any way we can find out how much water is being used per year in Kickapoo right now?
Yeah. Yep. The meter reading total.
Yeah. So,
Do they measure? Is that measured in the acre feet?
No, it'd be measured in gallons of usage. We could.
I don't know. We can just convert that.
So do you know what acre feet means? I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, 1 acre of area 1 foot deep in water is 1 acre foot.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And it converts with the number into gallons.
Yep.
That makes sense.
So I made that little table that ended up with 400 acre feet. That was just, I mean, I don't even know how good that is. That was just the best I could think of. I'm thinking we should I would like to know how much water is actually being used in Kickapoo before saying anything. And I want to talk to or maybe you, Ray, do you have any sense of what all the commercial operations use in Kickapoo? The hotel or the boat storage or any or
No, I don't. I've never really dissected it into our water usage just for all the commercial. Are you talking about commercial plus employee housing and rentals and everything, or just?
I'm just thinking about the commercial facilities by itself because all the employee housing and everything goes on the residential tally.
Yeah, I can ask Jeremy, our accountant, to pull that figure for us, like an annual amount.
Yeah, maybe just a 2022 or something.
But only for the commercial ops, not any of the residentials or anything.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure our water usage was way down last year because of the lack of business. We might want to look at 19 or 20,
Mm.
perhaps.
No, actually, so well, the rates went up. Right, Mike, didn't the rates go up on the water?
But they should say how many gallons we used.
Yeah.
I think on the bills. I don't know.
The access, I think it was the access charge went up. But I've got, last year system total 8,529,000 gallons, 910.
Wow. 8, 5, 2, 9, 9, 10 gallons.
Yeah,
And that was system wide. Maybe that's all I need.
yeah, that's
Maybe,
system total.
yeah.
That's
I just want to use that number to see if what I put in that chart makes any kind of logical sense.
sure.
Because I don't know, I'm just randomly multiplying numbers and I have no sense about the reality of it. But if I do that and it does seem to make some sense, then maybe we should ask the attorneys what their sense is of how much we should ask for. Because I don't want to ask. My first thought was we should ask for 700 acre feet because that's what we lost. But then if our actual need is only 400, maybe
It
we
says
shouldn't ask for more than we need.
the calculator I just used says it's 26.17 acre feet, 8 million gallons of water.
Did you say 26?
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. And that 400 number is like the whole PUD plan,
Yes.
just multiplied by the county requirements. And even the county requirements might be somewhat overstating it because
And wasn't that figure determined back in the 70s
Mhm.
based on the golf course and all that other stuff?
Well, the golf course wasn't
possibly.
part of it until the 80s, I think, is when they wanted to really start doing that.
Yeah.
Late 80s, there was a developer came in and wanted to do a golf course and all.
Yeah, it was also kind of a round number. It was 1 cubic feet per second. Yet another measure of water, which is about 700 something acre feet.
For a certain.
So I think they didn't think about it that hard at the time, because it was like this beautiful round number of 1 cubic feet per second for eternity, all the time. Yeah.
Is that a situation where if we ask for too much and we don't use it, do we lose it? Or
There are special rules for public use, where you can take up to 50 years or 40 years to use it all. You just have to file your every 3-year report to maintain it, which is
Okay.
where it went wrong, because we didn't file that once every 3-year report.
are we still going to use the same attorneys they were using before? Do we
You
know?
know, I would love to kick them to the curb,
No, it's
but I don't think.
an attorney that forgot to file our paperwork than the one that's working on it now. Adam Long and Smith Harvington is trying to straighten it out, but it was actually another attorney, and I can't remember off the top of my head the name.
Yeah.
Was he
Wasn't
with that
that-
firm?
Yeah, the other attorney was a part of the same firm, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's the attorney that failed to do anything. It was an engineer that failed to send it in, according to Chip.
Everything was done on our end, and the engineer or the attorney failed to send it in.
Yeah. Well, at this point, that doesn't really make any difference. But I think Adam knows the situation, so I think we should just let him deal with it.
Yeah.
And he said he could do it for $2,000 or $3,000, but because it's probably just a filling out of a little form. The one question I have is, like, you know how they're talking about Colorado Basin water, where they've decided that they can't just cut off all the most recent rights, which is standard procedure if there's not enough water, but they're going to kind of do across the board cuts. And I don't know what a reasonable expectation is, but based on that, I think maybe we should over ask a little bit.
I agree.
And I'm thinking that maybe Adam has some ideas about that. And I want to get with Dave and make sure that, I don't know. That his Dave Curtis, that his plans are still his plans. But it's the sign. I don't know. But I do think that we shouldn't wait too long.
No, I think it's definitely something we need to keep in front of us and work our way through it.
Okay. And just get us some non-temporary water rights. So I will check with Dave and see if he has any wisdom on the subject. And then just go and get Adam working on it. Is my proposal.
I think Dave had mentioned in a meeting recently that the 400 and whatever that dollar amount was what he was thinking would be, you know, what would be required down the road, or not required, but what he was thinking. But I can find that out for you if you want.
Okay.
I got a call with him in the morning.
Yeah, let's check with him.
And that's for the new RV lot, and like say all of the lots in the estate sell, and we have homes on all of them, and that would satisfy all of that.
Yes, that was what the point of my calculation was. I just counted all the lots that were planned in that whole section and multiplied that with the county requirement for each lot. Oh, the reason that Travis Hatch sent me a $50 invoice is that I asked him to find out what exactly, which lots we owned. And he went to the courthouse and looked in the recorder's office and found that out for me.
Okay.
Yes. Energy research study. Well, for one thing, I think you should, whatever you think you want to find something in the office, I think you should just go look for it. I don't think you have to ask permission. I think you should just do that. But this energy research study is not something you would find there, because it's a new thing that the county has ordered a few months ago on some grant from the state to inventory all energy uses by Tickaboo, offshore marina, and whatever happens across the street there, Bullfrog Block and the marina at Bullfrog.
Yeah, that's been a while.
Yeah.
And I think they concluded the study with everything except for TUID.
Yeah, they've done all that. They're about to give their final presentation.
Oh, okay.
Which I think, and I've just sent them an email last Friday to see if they'd be okay, if everybody in Caden and everybody would be okay that the board and you Ray would listen in. And they have, I mean, it's all technical and complicated and way over my head, but basically they looked at all kinds of technologies like solar and even nuclear, and getting a line from a power line from Hanksville and some other options, and small mini grids in each location, and having some of them connected by a power line, and what I've seen is they calculated the operating cost of all of them, and now they've added the capital cost of all these solutions to it, and they're about 2% their findings to us.
Hmm.
And I've always also asked them if it would make sense, because Chip pretty much refused to give them the information that they needed, so they just estimated it, if it would make sense at this late stage to get the real information. And if they could then plug that into their models, or if that is just too little too late. I'm guessing that their estimates aren't that far off the reality, because they know how many kilowatt hours a household uses in general, and a hotel and all that.
We spent some time with them. Were you with us, Amy, down at the Bullfrog Block? Nan Anderson was a part of that.
No, I don't think I was on when Phil Lyman was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, Phil's the one that initiated that grant.
yeah, I wasn't on that trip.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were.
Anyway.
They seemed to be on top of it. They knew what they were doing.
Well, they're going to give their final presentation soon,
Oh, good.
and I've asked for permission to invite TUID managers and interim managers and board members.
Great.
Now that should happen
Great.
fairly soon. I believe the end of March or sometime. Blue stakes. I have not been able to get in touch with Ryan yet. But if Ray, if you can find who mapped, or Mike, didn't you know who mapped the power lines?
I think I want to say it was ECI.
Let's see.
Wouldn't it be in the office?
It may be. I don't know. I've never seen a comprehensive map of our system to this point.
You know what, Ray? Why don't you and I go in there either tomorrow or Wednesday, and we'll see what exactly is in there, just so we know. Because yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would, because Chip was doing the blue stakes, he would have to have that. It would have to be somewhere.
Electrical Contractors Incorporated has done the lion's share of the work on that system since, I don't know, for a long time.
Mhm.
And I think they have a map. I don't know if it's something they've modeled. I think they actually have modeled it for doing reactive power studies and different things. So they would be a good contact. And I've talked to them before, and I think going forward we need to keep them close when we need help with the system, because they know everything about the system. We'd pay somebody else new coming in a lot of money just to figure it out.
Who is that? Who'd you say that is?
ECI.
Oh, ECI. Okay. Yeah, they come here out of Cedar City, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
They would probably be the best contact as far as looking for some kind of mapping or details on the system.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Sorry.
I'll just keep prodding that a little bit. See if I can move that forward.
So Tim had told me too that Dana, or in the old Napa shop, which is where Dana's fleet shop is now, that there's some old town maps. And Dana knows where they are, and maybe they're accurate.
Does that have like the utility lines on it?
I'd have to go take a look. I'll find out from Dana. I'll get him to show it to me, and I'll send y'all whatever he has.
Yeah.
And I can get a hold of, I think his name's Jeremy or something with ECI. I can get a hold of him and see what they know.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, maybe the financial review we should just keep on the list. I feel a little uncomfortable and I know nothing. And I have no idea about the what's that?
We've got 28,494.08 in the reserve fund. And nothing's changed in there. There's been some interest payments, and that's about all. That nothing's moved in or out of the reserve fund. And then
say that number again.
28494.08.
So 28,000.
That's correct.
And that's the reserve.
That's the reserve. And then the checking account, where all of the billing comes in and out of, and it's at $70,444.25.
So we're fine. We're okay.
Yeah, we're doing okay. And kind of take advantage of a bad situation, and we're not paying a general manager right now, so we're going to be doing but we've got a lot of expense getting ready to go out with generator repair and different things else coming up, and diesel fuel is fixing to go up.
So, hey, Mike, so you got a cash account or the checking account, and then so so at the end of but your budget has to balance. So is that what, if you're over, you just transfer money to a reserve fund?
That's correct.
And then what is that earmarked for?
With my short time on the board before now, we use the reserve fund for repairs to the system with the flooding. And then kind of segues into the sale of those properties came at an opportune time. People bought property. We took all that money and put it back into the reserve fund to replenish it for repairs. And, you never know when it's going to happen. And it's always very expensive.
So what is the reason for the reserve fund as opposed to just leaving it in a checking account? Just to balance the budget?
Just to balance the budget, I would say. I'm not sure, Ray. I'm not sure exactly. All I know is they were bringing it out of the reserve to pay for repairs to the system, and then replenishing the reserve with property sales, whatever.
I mean, if we fix that, what is it? The MQ, that's going to be 40. I mean, that'll eat that up if we fix that.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need to fix it until next fall.
No, but we need to make sure we have the reserves to take care of. That's what, to me, that would be for
Get a better idea of what the cost might be and what the atmosphere is for those parts. And, we may decide we want to do it sooner than later, if things look like they're going up or the availability of parts is going down. But yeah, in a relaxed atmosphere, we could wait till later on in the summer. That's all I know. And I think I've had 2 checks clear. Other than the ACH payments for diesel, that's all that's went out. So,
did they give you? Do you have terms on that diesel?
I've got 36 hours.
That's not terms.
Terms? What do you mean?
Like how long you have to pay? Like 10 days, 15 days, or whatever.
They usually Pierce and Hoffman both send a request saying, "Hey, we're going to ACH this payment." And usually, I've been just telling them, "Yeah, go ahead, pay it." So that's the way they do it.
And that's often, right? But we still have to put out get 3 bids every time we get fuel.
Yeah, and I send out one request that never gets answered, and
that's probably
looking for another supplier. But then Often and Pierce Oil are the
okay.
other 2.
They both do the ACH. Okay.
Yep, they both do the ACH.
Okay.
That's been the easiest part of it so far. Fuel.
So you have set it up so you have to get 3 bids every time.
You're supposed to, for just like the request for proposal for the manager, public entity is supposed to go up,
There must
And
be a
spread that.
there must be a way to do that, like annually or something.
Yeah, there's with the price of diesel, it fluctuates so much. I know Chip, when he was doing it, he was watching the market all the time, and he would wait until it went down. And if he thought it was going to stay down, he had it set up in Google Docs that the form was already there. He'd just send the emails, and then he'd get the responses back in Google Docs, and then
So he would actually get a different supplier every time.
potentially.
Okay.
Potentially, but you're giving everybody the opportunity at public money. You know, that's kind of where that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe this is a good way to we can jump to number 12 because procurement policy is on the little manual checklist. Has anybody ever seen a procurement policy anywhere in TUID?
Not yet.
You want us to look for it?
Yeah. See if you can find something. It might just be a copy of the sample that they have.
I mean, so maybe we don't actually have to get 3 bids for everything we do.
You can pretty much it gives an example of a procurement policy, but it doesn't say that you have to pass that exact policy. And $3,000 really isn't right. Isn't
random
anything
for
anymore.
anybody.
I mean, you look at any provider of anything, and the next thing you know is $3,000. It's not so. Maybe we can, if we don't have anything, maybe we can jiggle and adjust those numbers a little bit. The other thing was that the treasurer needed to be bonded. Does anyone know how that works and how you do that?
Yeah, you just are you familiar with it, Mike? I don't want to speak above you.
No, go ahead.
So yeah, it's just a bond written through an insurance company. We have several bonds at Offshore and Tickaboo that we're required to have for various government, licensing and stuff, beer license, alcohol license. But you just bond. I don't know how much it's required for the treasurer to be bonded. But
did I say 50,000 or something? No, it'd be more than that.
I'm sure the county attorney will know.
Yeah, and and so that was one of the questions I had was about insurance. TUID is self-insured, or do they have an insurance company that insures the assets or liability? I mean, that's the other thing is, Ricky's been using the TUID truck to take the garbage down to the dump, and if something should happen, and TUID is responsible. Who's the insurance company? Whoever's doing all that, we just contact that person, and I'm sure they can write, or they have the resources to write the bond. And generally, it depends on the amount of money. Amy, we had to have for that business in Georgia. We had to have a $25,000 bond, and I think it was $1,200 or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But that was. Yeah, it was 20 years ago.
We didn't have to pay that every year. I think that was a one time. Was that
No,
a one
it's
time?
annual. Yeah, it's annual.
Oh, every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can you look into that and
Sure.
see what?
Well, who's your insurance?
If you can find any indication of insurance in the office.
See, that's the thing about the office. There's you think there would be a file cabinet with like an insurance file, and a vendor file, and that I can't. I don't see. I don't know. Maybe it's on the laptop that Mike has. Yeah. We'll look again.
Just looking for, but I'm not having any luck searching it. So
nobody knows if TUID is insured.
The one thing you would be able to find if we're insured, we're paying for it, so you can. It should be.
In the bank account, I mean, you could probably go back through the bank account statements. I bet.
Do you have access to that, Amy?
I don't. Mike tried to get me. We've been working on getting me on there for what, 2 weeks now, Mike?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's a thing with Wells Fargo. They just
Amy, why don't you call that
Brandon.
accountant and just ask her to pull insurance payments?
Oh,
and
call
she-
Sophie. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, Sophie would know.
Be good contact for that, I'm sure. I'm sure that's probably where it all is. I know in the past, just out of conversations, that a lot of documents weren't stored at TUID if they were already at the account. Just green office.
Yeah,
Okay.
just if you can have her just pull all insurance, just any insurance payment to who it's to, we can just contact them and
Yeah.
I mean
I'll
you'll
get
have
in
to
touch
do
with
it,
her tomorrow.
and then we can just ask them if they're able to write bonds. If they're not, there's bonding companies that we can go to.
Yeah.
I mean, we should know who our insurance is through, or if we have it.
Well, you need to.
Regardless.
That's one of the things I had. We need to get an asset sheet from them and then do a physical inventory of all the assets and make sure that because if nobody knows who the insurance company is, then there's probably never been updates. And so you buy a generator for $1 million and you insured it for $1 million and the generator is only worth 600,000 a day. You're paying too much insurance,
Mhm.
so you need
On
to
the
do
other hand, if the thing blows up, you still need a new one. So you
Well-
still might need your $1 million.
Well, so that's a different thing. You can get and you're right, because generators they're worth more today than they were 10 years ago, but you can you buy a policy that you keep the generator insured for its actual value, but you have but the policy is
Replacement value.
replacement policy. Yeah. So they'll buy it. So they'll buy it at whatever the cost is, up to a certain amount.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's good to have that asset sheet, because if we go do a physical inventory, and just as an example, like right now, the only reason we know that the MQ is in Salt Lake City is because Mike and I was dealing with that. But if you all didn't know that, we were looking at the asset sheet,
Generator.
we'd be like, hey, where's this generator? So
Right.
we're paying insurance on something that we don't own, or there's a generator missing.
Yeah, we've got equipment. We've got a golf cart, I think. A couple vehicles, a trailer.
And then you have to add, like, so Ricky's going to be driving the TUI. Whoever's operating the business, they all have to be on that the vehicle, the automobile part of the policy, so that you're insured in case they do something out there on the roads and whatever. So yeah, we need to get that and get a review of it. If you want us to do that now, if you want to wait till you find the management team or whatever, we can wait till then.
We would have a good idea of that too, probably.
Well,
Oh, and Mike, can I go back to Tim had reminded me, but so Blackburn, Tim, tell me, are we using Blackburn now for that red dye diesel, or did we give them that account, or were they just bidding on it for us, or what is going on there?
So Ricky was the one talking with them when they came out to start switching our propane, and they just happened to ask who was, supplying our red dye. So it sounds like they have they have the ability to do that, and it might be worth checking them out for a third, and local, vendor.
I will do that first thing tomorrow.
Do you know what their capacity is though? Like, certainly it's more than
Well, I don't know. I mean, they know Tickaboo. They've been out here enough with the propane, and I think in light of AmeriGas's shortcomings, they've expanded all the way into Las Vegas, almost to Las Vegas, into Nevada and northern Arizona, and
Huh.
so they've got a lot of demand right now from a lot of local businesses and stuff because of whatever issues AmeriGas is having. So I would say they probably have a line on the red dye. Otherwise, I can't imagine them bringing it up. But it'd be worth calling anyway because they are local.
I will get all of them tomorrow and see if I can get somebody to give us another quote.
Sorry, Alexa, I interrupted you.
Well, probably not that important because I can't remember what I was saying. Yeah, I made a whole bunch of notes on here. So I will write that out on this all sheet and then we'll.
And Caden's supposed to give us an update on what the county's and TUID's relationship is with landfill. Is that correct?
Yes. He sent that question on to someone else.
Okay.
Let me see.
What question? What?
The question about what exactly the relationship between TUID and the county is about the landfill and who pays for what.
Oh, I bet you
And-
it's David Dodd. Yeah,
Yes, who's David Dodd?
he's their public works guy. I can give him a
Yeah.
call. I'm good friends
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah, he would. Caden just send it on to Dave and says, "Can you help Alexa with these questions?"
He's been real helpful. He's supplying us. I went around and did a physical inventory of the street signs in the estates and in the village. And it's really not much of an inventory. There's only 2 street signs and they're all faded. So he's getting us. I did a physical inventory of or a map of all the intersections. So he does a lot for us. I can give him a call if you're interested in.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. So yeah, I have no idea how that works. So on the Mike, you at some point said something about how power lines have a lifespan of 25 years and we're like 25 years past that, or?
Yeah, typically URD power conductors, primary lines are 30 years.
Yeah, so how are we gonna find out what's in the ground and how long it's gonna last, and if we can actually hook up more stuff without the whole place blowing up? And
CI's the people to talk to there. And he in fact, I had a conversation with him a month or so ago, and his recommendation was to schedule a meeting where we could meet with them down there, go over the system, and it would kind of give us a good idea for a work plan. What they say is probably the most critical infrastructure to start replacing. So it would give us a good idea on how to start, building a work plan. And I think there might already been some in progress. We never talked about it board level when I was with the old board, but we can start doing that research and go through that.
Yeah, we should probably put that a little bit out.
Well, I'd be happy to meet with ECI down there, and got a lot of knowledge and power too. So
That's something we're probably gonna have to budget every year moving forward. I mean, maybe not this year, but it's probably gonna be really expensive, and we need to make sure we can cover it.
Yeah.
I agree. If we could have a plan that's progressively taking on some of that older cable, getting changes made, like the RV park issue we had last fall away, try to split that up equally over 3 phases versus 1. start working on those things and start, well, at least get them out in front of us so we know they're there.
And isn't there, Alexa, is there funding available through state or federal grants to help with stuff like that? Or
I don't know. We should probably look into that as well. See if there's grant funding. All I think I know is that what is the CIB funding doesn't do power for some reason. That's all I know, but maybe there's something somewhere that does power replacement for rural communities or
and what is CIB?
the Community Impact Board. It's the percentage of federal energy royalties that goes for rural communities to defray impacts of like the whole industry on rural communities. And a lot of improvements are funded by them. Oh, firehouse. Does the TUID run the firehouse, or do we have a fire department in Kickapoo or anything?
You're looking at the chief. Right.
Many hats.
I'm the chief of admin. Ricky's the chief of operations or training, I should say. Yeah.
But
So
there is actually a volunteer fire department.
yeah, and Ricky does, he's the head of the training. And we just, we've alerted, we keep the county informed of what we're doing, where we are. So the training, where everybody, well, we have 7 volunteers now. They're all outfitted. Everybody knows how to drive the trucks, how to get the water, how to do everything. We're mostly defense line. We're not like an aggressive, we're not going to go inside a house if it looks like we can't.
You all want to come out alive.
Well, I mean, we're just not trained for that kind of stuff.
Right.
And, we're all just there to help and do what we can until help arrives, and then we can assist. So yeah, we have several trucks up there, and we've already, Dana, our fleet mechanics, already reported to the county some of the repairs required and the maintenance required, and the county's authorized us to do that. So we're here to help.
I used to tease Dave Curtis and call him the king of Kickapoo, but maybe that title should go to you, Ray.
I don't think so.
And a rate study. Somebody mentioned that we needed a rate study or at some point. Yeah.
I think that'll be part of a work plan project.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you mentioned under your point 16, Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will that encompass the reconnect fees as well, or just?
I don't know if that would be based on connection fees or just kilowatt hour usage and gallon usage of water and those things.
Yeah. And
based on they figure your system and every aspect of it, repair costs, costs to operate.
So sewer and water lines, they last longer, don't they? They're
not as expensive to repair.
I'm just hoping, because the sewer and water line to my house is 100 years old.
They'll last forever.
Yeah.
Where do you live, Alexa?
And just up the street here in by Ninth, Salt Lake at all? Ninth and Ninth neighborhood.
Oh no, I don't know it that well.
Yeah. Well, it's on the corner of Ninth, kind of on the corner of 9th East and 9th South, and I just live a block and a half away from that. Yeah. Anything else?
Um, oh, that black book, Ray.
Yeah.
I asked that question a while back. No real black book, just protected vendor information.
Oh,
Based on studies that have been done in the past through certain vendors. You know, you can't share that information with other vendors, and you know what I mean?
Mm,
That's what that was all about, protecting that information.
mm. Oh, UAMPs. I don't even know what that stands for. They were those people that were leading that big meeting in 2017.
Yes, we're a member of UAMS currently.
Yeah, and I found an old email where they just and they were saying, oh, well, we can get you into solar and it'll be easy and we'll find funding, and basically never to be heard of again. So I asked them if anything ever came from it, and the answer was no, but they did offer to get together virtually, and they would explain what wonderful things UAMs could do for little power districts. My suggestion for that is just push that out until we straightened ourselves out a little bit.
I agree.
Me too.
Yes,
Yeah,
kind of
one
be
thing-
nice to them and let them introduce themselves 6 months from now.
yeah. What I've been told since I've been on the board, you know, I come in all starry-eyed with big ideas and trying to, you know, come up with ideas to where we could make things more affordable and different. Even got with a vendor out of Colorado and started talking to them about some of the solutions they provided with solar. What I've been told, and I don't know that it's correct, but a system that would be beneficial in size enough to serve Tickaboo, the cost would drive up put the base of the kilowatt hour charge so high that they never wanted to do it because they thought they had a little flexibility with the way it is now. And if you ended up owing a bunch of money on a solar system, it would drive your base up high enough where you wouldn't have much flexibility. You know, you'd have to charge at least this amount. And that doesn't include all of your expenses and operating costs. So that's kind of the way it was explained to me. I don't know that that's all true. And I'm sure if we could find free money, that's a totally different conversation.
Yeah.
But as far as borrowing money to put in facility and infrastructure, it was always cost prohibitive.
Yeah, I'm imagining you need a certain volume for the investments to be worth it.
Sure.
Otherwise, you just have to. There are not enough people to carry the investment.
Tim, didn't you find in some of the research we were doing something that UAMPS was involved in with TUID? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
Yeah.
No, that's correct. I think it's the same kind of information that Mike was talking about. I stumbled across, it was actually a hearing with the one of the state boards for power regulation or something, where UAMPS was, they were interviewing UAMPS on behalf of TUID. And I think at the time, though, the linchpin to that whole thing was the National Park Service being another large user and bringing them on board. And I believe that's where it all fell apart, was that UAM's had a proposal, and it was kind of based off of the Park Service being on board with that as another large user along with the town of Tickaboo. And then it just kind of evaporated, those discussions. And once that happened, then there was, like Mike said, there was no way it could be cost effective for UAMs to step in and do something for the town of Tickaboo by itself.
I remember that same conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think all we did was load Ray and Amy up with more work.
Hey, we're here.
Well, thank you for that. So, I think we need to schedule one more meeting before the official meeting on the 8th or so to discuss TUID board meeting on the 8th. Maybe we can do on the 1st or the 2nd of that week before that, so we can discuss finalize a proposal for the board meeting on the 8th about the manager.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll make something work.
Do we want to do Wednesday or Thursday?
Either
I
one.
would.
Go ahead.
How about you, Amy?
Do you have something on Thursdays, Alexa?
I do, but I can move that.
I think
So if that works better for you, that'll give us an extra day to digest the proposals.
I think we had to go somewhere on Wednesday. We probably would be back by 5:30, but you just never know what's going to happen.
Let's just do Thursday then, if that works for you, Mike.
Amy, we canceled that, Amy. That was you were going to go to Price.
To pick up my contacts. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm good either day. Whatever's better for you.
Wednesday.
Let's do Wednesday. And then maybe we're not inviting you, Ray, to
Oh, good. I get a day off.
to do our deliberation of your proposal. Just to.
So Wednesday the 1st at 5:30.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's going to be another work session.
And,
now, is that going to be public, or is that just the three of us?
I think we should not do that public because we're going to be talking about possibly confidential proposals and the competency and blah, blah, blah of persons.
I agree.
Exactly.
So I think it should just be the three of us.
I agree.
So I've got contact ECI for maps. I talked to Troy about a future work plan walkthrough. And then call Blackburn for diesel quote, see if we can get that on the hook.
Okay, and I have asked Dave in the morning about how many acre feet did he feel we need. We're going to go ahead and pick up fuel filters and oil filters. We're going to go ahead and clean out that one septic cell and get it ready for a switch over. We'll call all wells about the well number 2. Dana's going to start researching the MQ He's going to contact Kat about the 10-hour schedule. I'll get a hold of Jeremy for the annual water usage for the commercial use at Tickaboo.
You know, I don't think I need that anymore. I think that one number that that Mike gave me for the total is good enough.
Okay.
So
I'll get with Dana about seeing if those old town maps are in the Napa store, and I'll get those to you if they are. Amy and I will look in the office for any blue stake maps, and any type of procurement policy. And Amy's going to get a hold of the accountant to find out who the insurance company is so we can chase down the bonds. I'll get a hold of David Dodd about questions about the landfill. And we'll look for the SOPs, the standard operating procedures in there. I don't think there are any, but we'll look. That's all.
yeah. Okay, Mike and Ray, could you just send me the little list of your to-do list, and I'll incorporate that in here. I think I've got it all written down, but if you
Yep,
could
and I
do
did
that.
find tariff documents on rates, the tap fees, that kind of stuff, current tariff, that's all public documents.
Yeah. Okay.
Forgot to have that in somewhere. So that was in our talk somewhere. I forgot to say something about it.
Do you think we need to do something about that right now?
Well, I don't know. I think we need to keep that open for discussion and as we move forward
Mhm.
and because I think Ray, you texted me about a gentleman in town that was wanting to reconnect or do something, and
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not ready until like in April or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, he was. I mean, that's kind of like the stuff that Ricky knows more about, I think.
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So do we have a list of which lots have been paying those standby fees and
So it's all in the billing system.
mhm, and which lots are subject to the reconnect fees? They're mostly the lots that came from trust lands, right?
That's correct. I feel like I was explained that situation that back in the day when TUID was formed, that trust lands abandoned taps to avoid paying monthly fees.
Yeah. We couldn't justify paying $2,000 for all of those lots. That would have been like $200,000
Yeah,
every
Totally.
year for those lots. It's like we're never going to recoup that.
totally understand that.
Yeah. So okay. Well, if the two of you, Mike and Ray, can send me what you have on your to-do list, then I will incorporate that in the big list and with the notes I took, and we'll go forward based on that.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
All right,
you.
everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Yes, you
Good night.
too.
Talk
Talk
soon.
to you soon.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, Sam. Bye. And the mystery person.
Believe.